Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Mac.Rob Portrait Gallery Induction. My name is Alita, and it is an honor to be the school vice captain for this year. It is a privilege to be here this evening to induct some of our Mac.Rob alumni to our portrait gallery. I'd like to begin by acknowledging and respecting the traditional custodians on whose ancestral lands our school was founded, where we learn and meet today, the land of the Bunurong people. We acknowledge the deep feelings of attachment and relationship of Aboriginal people to country, and commit to building better relationships and better understanding between our community and Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders. We pay our respects to Indigenous elders, past, present, and emerging. It is now my honour to welcome our principal, Ms. Sue Harrell, to formally open this evening's proceedings.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this very important event in the Mac.Rob calendar. Welcome back to many of you, and welcome to your family and friends. I don't know how long it is since you've walked these halls, but I hope they've filled you with joy and really positive emotions and memories about your time here. I extend a warm welcome to the Mac.Rob Foundation members and to Chair Lynn Jensen, and to the Palladians who today are represented by Chris Rajabal. I too acknowledge the Bunurong people as the traditional owners of the land, and I pay my respects to them, and I give thanks to the many tens of thousands of years of custodianship and care. We feel privileged to learn and connect on their land. I'm delighted that we can finally recommence the celebration and recognition of our outstanding graduates through the relaunch of the Portrait Gallery, and that with the foundation we can extend appreciation of the gallery to those beyond these walls. When I was first appointed principal of Mac.Rob, Mac.Robians came from far and wide to tell me what an important job I had, and the important role that this school plays in positively changing the lives of young people. So many of them noted to me that this school changed my life, or this school made me aspire to greatness. Our vision for the school is really quite simple, and we see reflections of this vision every day, but of course we're building and growing it. We want every student, and indeed every staff member, to have a deep sense of connection and belonging, and to see reflections of themselves in our environment. We want them to make maximum progress in all aspects of their life through an appropriate level of support and challenge, and that they're filled with a sense of well-being and the skills to maintain that, so that they're equipped to head off to the next phase of their lives to tackle anything. The induction of graduates into the Portrait Gallery is about two things. It's about connection and inspiration, and these relate directly to our vision and speak to two of our values, community and growth. If we rise to live our vision, or as we rise to live our vision, we know our graduates will want to maintain a deep, positive and emotional connection to the school as they move off into the next phase of their lives, their personal and professional lives. And that they will maintain a desire to support the existing and future students, and they will want to continue to be part of our extended family. My hope is that when we need to draw on expertise in its many forms, our graduates will be willing to step forward, be that by offering a work experience placement, offering to be a guest speaker, running part of a leadership series, or even legal or architectural advice. In many, many ways that you will be able to assist us. To capitalise on that, we need to stay connected to you. We need to know where life takes you, and the Portrait Gallery is one of the ways that we can do that. Another way is that you could become a life member of the Palladians if you're not already. Moving on to inspiration. They say that seeing is believing, and the Portrait Gallery provides inspiration, a tangible reminder to our existing and future students that anything is possible. I've recently been involved in research into increasing gender equity in the selective entry schools. And one of the things that we discovered, not just anecdotally this time, but based on the research, is that our students want big lives. They want to move off into their professional careers, but they also want to write a novel or perform in concerts or be a parent or contribute to their communities or make the environment better. They want big, multifaceted lives, and we want to be able to provide them with that opportunity. They need to know that it is possible and that others have forged a pathway in a range of fields, living diverse, multi-dimensional, big lives that they can aspire to. On my first day here, I met with the school captains. Krish was one of them. And I met with the SRC captains, and I asked them for advice about being the principal of Mac.Rob. They said I should spend time walking through the hallways, looking at photos, reading the history, to get a sense of the standard that I was leading in this school community. And their advice was very, very wise. I noticed that the Portrait Gallery has deep meaning to our students. Sometimes we can't get through the corridors because students are standing there gazing up at the Portrait Gallery, reading it and discussing the lives of the women in the Portrait Gallery. And so you too will be soon gazed up at, providing inspiration on the basis of your biography and your achievements. On that note, if you can think of peers who should be nominated for the future Portrait Gallery, then in your program there is a way for you to let us know about them. Thank you to each of tonight's inductees for your contribution that you made when you were at Mac.Rob, when you were a student, and for the many contributions that you've made to your communities and to society more broadly beyond Mac.Rob. The committee were really humbled to read of your triumphs, although we recognise that your list of triumphs doesn't really pay homage to the effort, to the hard work, the determination, the skill and the barrier breaking that you've all had to do to achieve those triumphs. We're delighted that you have accepted a nomination to be part of the Portrait Gallery. Thank you for your willingness to be part of our extended family and to provide that inspiration and support I've been speaking of. I hope you feel celebrated and valued now and into the future. Thank you. I'm now passing over to Lynn Jensen, our fellow Portrait Gallery inductee and chair of the Mac.Rob Foundation.
Thanks, Sue, and everybody. As Sue has mentioned, the Portrait Gallery honours and acknowledges the achievements of our alumni, and it also provides incredible inspiration to current students. And the foundation aims to support young women, current students, and also recently graduated students to achieve their goals, their educational goals, and to set them up for greater success in the future. And we do that through the scholarships and the bursaries that we offer. And there's a real alignment between the Portrait Gallery and the Foundation's purpose. And I'm really excited that the Foundation is launching this week the online version of the Portrait Gallery. The aim there is really to bring the Portrait Gallery to a wider audience so that it's not just for those who are walking in the halls and stopping and gazing up, but that current and former students get the opportunity to reflect on the achievements of the women who have come through the school and their achievements. And I invite you all after this to go on to the Mac.Rob Foundation website where you'll see a particular link to the online version. It will have the stories of all the newer inductees, and we are gradually building the past. So there have been quite a few inductees over the years, and you will see them in the halls, and gradually we hope to have everybody up there. And this the aim is really to create also a greater connection with the school, and I reflect on the time when I was inducted into the Portrait Gallery, and it really made me reflect on how this school did change my life and the trajectory of my life as well, and connected me back into the school, and here I am now the chair of the foundation. And when I think about the school and my time here, it wasn't just the education that it gave me that led me to have the successful career that I have, but it actually set the foundation of a rich life and gave me an opening and an experience of so many different things that now fill my life and make my life much more interesting and exciting than I think it would have been if I hadn't come to this school. So I'm really excited to hear the stories of the new inductees, and I look forward to that tonight. One I know very well because, in fact, I'm pleased to say I was a mentor of hers when she was a very young lawyer, and I watched her career with awe, really. And so I love to welcome all the new inductees and encourage you to check out the website, and for everybody to stay connected. This is really important in these times. So thank you and enjoy.
Hello. Oh, it's working. Lovely. Thank you, Dee. All right. Yeah, so good evening, everyone. My name is Chris, and I'm very fortunate. I didn't have my photo plastered up there, so I'm very happy. And I graduated as school vice captain in the cohort of 2021, so just last year. And I'm really glad to be given the opportunity to represent the Palladians organisation tonight. So since its formalisation in 1940, and although it's existed for over 100 years and has helped thousands of Palladians with their careers and in their social lives as well through inspiration and networking, since 1940 we've really been grateful to avidly celebrate the success of our alumni. It's so amazing, especially coming from a school of primarily women and gender minorities, to continue to see how we lift each other up and continue to defy historical and even current societal expectations. So traditions like the Portrait Gallery cement the collective sense of pride in the achievements of our alumni. We endeavour not only to celebrate our accomplishments, but to create more memories and to really grow together. Our expansive network allows us to create meaningful connections that we aim to carry with us throughout our whole lives. For example, I just saw a couple of mates from my year level on the train today, and I was chatting with them and I was talking about how I was coming back to school today, and they were like, "Oh, why are you going back there? VC was a bit traumatic." I was like, "Yeah, I'm going back," and I was groaning along as well. I was like, "Oh, you're right." But we kind of forgot the important thing. We forgot that we were all bound together by having been students at this school, and the connections we forged were so important, and we were friends, and we're not even very close friends, but we still had that sense of lovely familiarity and lovely camaraderie because we'd come through these doors together, because we shared so many important experiences together. And I think it's just lovely seeing, most of the people from our cohort or even older levels, because we've got so many wonderful mentors around our school, and just seeing them around and seeing how everyone is so happy and willing to help each other throughout anything. And it's so lovely to see that caring spirit really come through in everyone. So another key purpose of the association is to also support the development of educational opportunities for students at Mac.Rob, and all members are really encouraged to focus on our mentorship opportunities. So for example, I'm a part of a mentorship circle, and it spans students who've graduated a couple of years above me and even years and years above me. And it's just a wealth of experience and information and love and a lot of trust and knowledge that's being shared between us all, and it's really lovely to just see that we can establish new relationships between generations in Mac.Rob, which I think is really lovely. And so, although our president, Sally Lee, has advised me to not be too cheesy when plugging this advertisement, we do have a lot more activities planned for the rest of the year, and we really hope to see all of you coming to our high tea in November. It should really be a blast. So it's just really nice to be able to catch up and see each other again. So, now I've convinced you all about how wonderful the Palladians is, we are honoured to welcome these distinguished 5 people into our membership, and as you can see, the lovely Chelsea Trott, who was actually school captain a few years above me, she's designed these beautiful certificates. I might hold one up, gorgeous, and we are really proud to be giving these to our new inductees. So yeah, it's lovely, and I think it's really important to see people who've had a similar lived experience to yourself, making these amazing waves throughout society and our wider community, and really being the change in the world that we all want to see. It really reminds me that even ripples can affect larger change, whether that be systemic or in our everyday life. So yeah, we're really grateful to have you all here tonight with us. Thank you.
Thank you to Ms. Harrow, Lynn, and Krish. It is now my great pleasure to introduce our inductees and their biographies, read by myself and the incredible SLC co-presidents Jessica and Gayatri and Davidson. After each reading, we invite our inductees to stand for a round of applause, to join us at the lectern to provide a few words, and to receive a small token of our esteem. Please join me in giving them a warm welcome. A graduate of the class of 1996. Anna Brown, OAM, is a lawyer and advocate. Her fingerprints are on nearly every major reform for LGBTQI+ people in recent years, including playing a crucial role in achieving marriage equality as co-chair of the Yes campaign and running the challenge against the postal survey in the High Court. Anna has been instrumental in hard-fought battles to secure federal LGBTIQ+ discrimination protections, improve access to birth certificates for trans people, remove discriminatory laws across the country, right historical wrongs by establishing schemes to erase historical homosexual offences, and outlaw so-called conversion therapy. Anna's legal work has also helped to improve access to gender-affirming care for young trans people, and further legal recognition of sex and gender diversity. Anna is the founding CEO of National LGBTIQ+ Organisation Equality Australia, and was previously Legal Director at Human Rights Law Centre, an advisor to the former Attorney General, and Deputy Premier of Victoria Rob Hulls, a Senior Associate at law firm Allens Lathers, and a Federal Court Associate. She studied arts and law at Monash University, and was President of the Law Students Society. During her time at Mac.Rob with her twin sister Robin, she was active in music, sport, and SRC, through which she started the first ever Mac.Rob football team after some concerted advocacy, including petition. It was her first taste of a successful political campaign. Anna went on to play women's football throughout her university years and represented New South Wales in 2006. Anne's younger sister, Claire, who also went to Mac.Rob, is here with us tonight, and Robin is overseas for work. In 2019, Anna was awarded a medal of the Order of Australia for her contribution to human rights and the LGBTIQ+ community. Anna was named one of Australia's top 10 influential women by the Australian Financial Review in 2019, and was a finalist for Victorian Australia of the Year in 2015, and named inaugural Victorian GLBTI Person of the Year in 2014. She lives in Sydney with her partner Kate and their rescue dog Craig. I would now like to invite Anna to come up and say a few words.
Thanks everyone. I'd like to start by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we're meeting tonight, to elders past, present and emerging, and also acknowledge, particularly coming from Sydney today, the wonderful work that's underway in Victoria towards treaty with our First Nations people here. It's just truly commendable and very exciting and long overdue. It's obviously a very significant honour to be here, and I want to thank Mac.Rob and everyone that's spoken tonight for their lovely words and the privilege of being inducted into the Portrait Gallery. I've, like many people who've spoken, have really fond memories of this school and all the words that Lynn and everyone has said. And Lynn's here tonight as one of my mentors, which is really quite special as well. They really resonated. It was a place of really fond memories of friendships, of running late to music practice or running around the lake. It was before we went over to Bowen Crescent in those days for our classes, and it was just a great place to grow up and go to school. And we've got some potential future inductees in the room today, my friends who are here watching. Some former house captains, and my younger sister Claire, and of course Robin's overseas and having intense FOMO, missing out. But I think also tonight's a bit of a reminder of all the things that do sometimes fall off in your life as you get older and busier, and all that music and sport that I did, potentially less musculoskeletal injuries in those days for me, but a good reminder and I think an inspiration that we should all continue to try and live full, enriched lives. And I wanted to thank Mum and Dad for coming tonight, and Claire, as well as my friends. Robin, whose idea it was to come to Mac.Rob, my twin sister. And also say that I've watched also during my work and career, I've noticed that Mac.Rob has been a leader in the field of LGBTI inclusion and the Students' March and Pride March, and it's truly wonderful to see Mac.Rob really leading the way, as I would expect Mac.Rob to do, but particularly compared to when we were at school, really leading the way in providing an inclusive environment for LGBTIQ students. And sadly, it's not the case at every school, particularly religious schools, and that's one of the issues I'm working on after dealing with football at Mac.Rob in 1995, or whenever it was, which really was my first political campaign, and they're quite addictive. So that should be a warning to future students as well. You do get a taste for it. And I just want to end by, I guess, commending Mac.Rob for that, the culture and the culture around inclusivity and those values of equality are really, they're evident today, and they were evident when I was at school, and it's something that I hope continues for a long time to come. Thank you.
Our second inductee for the evening is Sarah Davidson B. Holloway, a graduate of the class of 2006. Sarah spent 4 full and formative years at Mac.Rob, where her lifelong reluctance to pursue a singular passion flourished. Finding equal satisfaction in the academic challenge of the sciences as she did in the creativity of the arts, she pursued a wide range of subjects alongside exchanges, sports, chorals, orchestra, the list goes on. Taken slightly aback by becoming joint dux in 2006, she won an academic scholarship to study law and arts at Monash University, graduating 5th in her class with honours. Her professional life began at the top-tier international firm King & Wood Mallesons, where she excelled in mergers and acquisitions in Australia and overseas. While her legal career was partly the product of indecision, Sarah found gratification in the momentum of the corporate ladder until a fortuitous sliding doors moment in 2014. During a charitable expedition to Rwanda, Africa, she fell ill with a gut parasite that forced her to give up coffee and discover the magic of matcha green tea. Sarah and her husband Nick then founded Matcha Maiden and grew their accidental startup into a global category leader with more than 1,000 stockists around the world, including Urban Outfitters across the USA. 6 years of scale-up, a matcha-themed cafe named Matcha Milkbar, and over 1 million serves later, they successfully sold the business to investors. In the meantime, Sarah had created an award-winning podcast and later best-selling book, Seize the Yay,
inspiring others to swap metrics like success and the glorification of busy for fulfillment and joy. This seamlessly became a full-time role, interviewing the likes of Miranda Kerr, Michael Bublé, and Wim Hof, and recording in a location from outback Australia to Sir Richard Branson's Necker Island. Sarah is also a motivational speaker, MC, content producer, and TV host for Channel 7. In helping others find their yay, she lives by one of her favorite quotes: "You don't have to see the whole staircase to take the first step." I would now like to invite Sarah up to say a few words.
Thank you all so much. It is not very Mac.Robbie of me to not have known that we were going to say a few words. So normally I would have a spreadsheet that was colour coordinated and very organised, but we are nothing if not agile as Mac.Rob girls. So I threw together a few dot points. As Anna mentioned, Anna, you are everything I would have loved to be if I did stay within the law, but I think it's even more special for me personally that I'm here having left the law and not something that I ever thought would be celebrated by Mac.Rob. And I think it is wonderful to see this portrait gallery embracing so many different pathways and different forms of success for many different people. That's a really, really exciting thing. It is always such an incredible honour to be included in any list of Mac.Robbians. It is always impressive, no matter what reason you're being listed for, but to be included in this particular portrait gallery, seeing my fellow inductees tonight, and the incredible amount of letters at the end of everyone else's names. I've never felt so bare in my titles than I did this evening. I have such special memories of this school. It's funny, I was saying to the captains just beforehand that it's such a short 4 years in the scheme of your life, but it stands out as one of the most transformative. And I identify more as a Mac.Rob girl than I do with many of my other titles in life. It's funny, you can sniff a Mac.Rob girl out in a room of 1,000 people. Somehow you will find each other and just have a special connection. I remember the whole chorals, doing a stage band here, doing chamber voices. I have such beautiful memories of this school, and it really was a transformative and formative time. I think it's a real testament to the power of potensui that two of my closest friends who have come tonight along with my family weren't even in my year level, and they weren't even in the same year level either. I think that's an incredible special thing that comes out of this school. And also I have a very long family history with this school. My auntie, who is also here, Jude Stillman, taught here for over 25 years, so my very first entrance to this hall was helping her read the roll when I was 4, trying to pronounce some of the very interesting surnames that come through this school as a young 4-year-old, but I have very special memories of that too, and it was a bit more special to come. But one of my favourite memories with Auntie Jude, my other auntie here, Auntie Di, and of course my mum, who also taught here, which was incredibly embarrassing. But one of my very fond memories here with Auntie Jude is that when I say my time at Mac.Rob was transformative, I was actually a bit of a dud when I first turned up here. My auntie had been telling all her colleagues for years that she had this amazing young niece who was really clever and doing well at school, and I came from a very drama and sports focused school to Mac.Rob, not having embraced any part of my academic side. And she, sung my praises for years, and I turned up and it was wagging school and doing all the naughty things. I remember one time I was trying to sneak out with my backpack on with a note that I'd learned to forge Mum's signature very early. Don't listen to this, guys. And I was creeping out of the school and ran into my auntie. I was like, oh, hi, I'm just going to the toilet with my bag. I'll turn back around. But one of the beautiful things about this school is that in other schools you might get bullied for being the nerd. Here you are celebrated. It's cool to be smart, it's cool to be clever, it's cool to be, high achieving and driven, and that rubs off on you over 4 years. So I went from wagging to go and see Melbourne High Boys at Flinders Street Station to wagging in Year 12 to go to the library because I wanted to be more studious than I felt that I could be in my classes. So it was a very transformative time for me, and has opened up so many doors. As I mentioned, to be recognised for moving outside of the law and into business has even really does mean a lot to me, and I will always have such a special place for this school in my heart, and it's a real honour to be back, so thank you.
Our next inductee is Christina Emanuel, a graduate of the class of 2008. Christina is a computation and fluid dynamics engineer at Sabel Motorsport AG, and who entered in the 2022 Formula F1 World Championship at Alfa Romeo F1 Team All-In. Moving from Australia to pursue her dream of working in motorsport, Christina undertook her studies in England, completing her Bachelor of Engineering Honours at Oxford Brookes University and Master of Science by Research at Durham University. Christina has a diverse engineering background, having worked in motorsport, software, and automotive industries in the UK, Italy, and Switzerland. In parallel to her work as an engineer, Christina is involved in various activities and organisations as she strives to drive change towards a more inclusive and equal landscape within the motorsport industry. Working across various sectors in the industry, Christina became aware of the struggles some people face to be their authentic self as a result of the environment. As a gay woman, Christina joined Racing Pride, a movement developed to positively promote LGBTQ+ inclusivity in motorsport, as an industrial ambassador in 2020. In 2022, Christina was appointed to be the Board of Directors, a position in which she can help to drive more change within the industry. As an Australian woman in motorsport, Christina hopes to improve the access to information for young girls in Australia who hope to enter the motorsport industry. Aligned with these goals is the FIA Girls on Track program run by Motorsport Australia, for which Christina became an ambassador for in 2022. The not-for-profit program aims to grow interest in STEM subjects and industries among school girls with the aim of increasing female participation in these sectors, using motorsport as a tool to expose them to these incredible opportunities and career paths. I would now like to invite Christina's mother, Emanuel, to come up and say a few words on her behalf.
Thank you. As you all know, Christina lives overseas, so I have a small speech on her behalf. To the Mac.Rob Girls High School, the Palladians Association and the Mac.Rob Foundation, thank you for selecting me to be part of this incredible initiative to inspire the students of Mac.Rob. Living abroad, it has always been a hope of mine to meet a Mac.Rob alum, to share stories about speech night medleys and how Mac.Rob shaped who and where we are today. An ever-inspiring place surrounded by determined individuals. I am extremely proud to have my portrait and story living in the halls of Mac.Rob, quietly whispering words of encouragement to break barriers, molds and expectations. Perhaps my long-awaited first overseas encounter of a Mac.Rob alum will be one with a new colleague. Thank you, Christina.
Our next inductee is Alita near Glasgow, a graduate of the class of 1961. Alita was born in 1944 in France, where her family was being hidden from the Nazis by subsistence farmers, the Suquets. In 1949, Alita's family emigrated to Melbourne. Alita began studying ballet at the Borovansky Ballet Academy, and at the age of 8, moved to adult classes. At the age of 11, she was chosen by the Borovansky Ballet Company, the forerunner of the Australian ballet, to create the leading role of Clara in David Lacheyne's Nutcracker. Alita performed in Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide and Brisbane until she commenced her studies at Mac.Rob. Alita studied Year 12 remotely while touring as a part of an initiative to bring ballet to outback New South Wales and Queensland. She received a Commonwealth scholarship to undertake a BA at Melbourne University. Alita instead accepted an invitation to be the first Australian to study at Moscow's Bolshoi Ballet. However, in 1962, she left the USSR following the outbreak of the Cuban Missile Crisis. Now in London, Alita became guest artist at the London Ballet and later principal dancer at Ballet Rambert. Under the direction of the then doyen of British ballet, Dame Marie Rambert, it was here that Alita took up the professional stage name of Alita Belair. In 1966, Alita moved to the US and danced at principal level with the National Ballet, the Chicago Ballet, the New York City Ballet, the San Diego Ballet Company, and the American Ballet Theatre. In 1969, Alita returned to Australia to be with her parents who were unwell. She danced with the Australian Ballet before retiring from performing in 1970. She then married Simon Sabel and had 2 sons, Julian and Stephen, both of whom attended Melbourne High School, as did Alita's brother Harry. Alita taught ballet, movement and Pilates,
and wrote her memoirs Out of Cell, which were published by Melbourne University Press in 1993. I would now like to invite Marnie Sabel, her granddaughter, up to say a few words.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Marnie. My grandmother, Alita, asked that I read the following message on her behalf. May I say that my selection for this honour was a wonderful surprise, and I am truly humbled. I am disappointed that I am unable to attend this evening's event in person. Thinking back to my days at Mac.Rob always fills me with pleasure and gratitude. I was just one of many migrant girls fortunate enough to be given the opportunity to study in a school that was both nurturing and intellectually stimulating. Thanks to having been given such a solid foundation, most of us left the school with confidence and optimism. Apart from the exceptional education I received, I'm also incredibly grateful for the lifelong friends I made in those years. Once a Mac.Rob girl, always a Mac.Rob girl, and our shared school experiences bound us together despite the disparate career paths we took. What really assures me is that the legacy goes on. Mac.Rob still nurtures excellence across the board in academia, the arts, sports, and of course, most importantly, in social responsibility. May Mac.Rob continue to flourish. Once again, I thank you for this honour. I am extremely proud. Thank you.
Our final inductee for the night is Dr. Jude Smart, a graduate of the class of 1967. Jude Smart AM completed her education at Mac.Rob in 1967, then spent 5 exciting years at Monash University during a tumultuous era of student protest, graduating a Bachelor of Arts in History with first-class honours. She taught at RMIT from 1975 to 2005 and gained a doctorate in 1992 from Monash about Melbourne during Great War. Appointed to edit the leading journal in Australian history, Australian Historical Studies 1994 to 1999, Jude was the first woman to hold this position. She oversaw the redesign of the journals, as well as editing a special piece examining feminist historians' reinterpretations of Australia's past. She subsequently became editor of the Royal Historical Society, Victoria's Victorian Historical Journal, and published a special issue for the centenary of women's suffrage in Victoria. She resumed the editorship with Professor Richard Broomy in 2017, having also produced a special issue in 2015 on the Victorian home front in World War I. Judith was delighted to participate in the centenary of history of Mac.Rob through an Australian Research Council grant. This resulted in Pauline Parker's book, The Making of Women, a history of Mac.Robertson Girls' High School, described as a landmark history about one of the most remarkable schools in the history of Australian secondary education. Judith has co-authored Respectful Rebels, a history of the National Council of Women of Australia, 1996 to 2006, and co-edited with Shirley Swain, the Encyclopedia of Women and Leadership in the 20th Century Australia. Judith is an RHSV Fellow, Advisor of Victorian Women for the Australian Dictionary of Biography, a member of the Victorian Board of the Australian Society for the Study of Labour History, and has been Deputy Chair from 2009 to 2019 of the History Council of Victoria, and Vice President of the Federation of Australian Historical Societies from 2012 to 2016. She was awarded an AM in January of 2020. She was awarded an AM in January 2020. I would now like to invite Dr. Jude Smart to come up and say a few words.
Okay, thank you very much. And I'd like to, first of all, pay homage to the traditional owners of the land and the work that so many of them have done for thousands of years to maintain the land, work the best we try to do against all odds. I'm very honoured to have this, to be welcomed into the gallery. I had no idea that I was going to be asked to speak tonight, but I'd like to thank you all, and particularly I'd like to thank Jonathan Craig, who nominated me for this honour. It would seem from the description of the things I've done that most of my life has been spent in working on women's history, which is probably reasonably true, I guess, although it feels like as if it's been a bit broader than that. But I was particularly pleased when Susan Schuson got in touch with me some years ago, back in about 2002, Susan would have been, I think, when we started to plan writing the history of Mac.Rob with the centenary of the school. And the school, of course, had no money to do that. Mac.Rob very proudly is a state school, and I'm very proud to have gone to a state school, as I'm sure most of you are too. But of course the school had no money, so it was a case of trying to find out ways in which we could write that history without having to sort of call on people to donate. If you're at Melbourne High or if you're at some of the private schools, of course you can have people who will donate large amounts of money to do that sort of thing, but we didn't. And so the best way of doing it was to go through an Australian Research Council grant. And one of my colleagues at RMIT, Pamela Miller, and I decided that we would do that. So we were successful. We were able to employ a PhD student who wrote the history of Mac.Rob, the making of women. And we had a wonderful time for 2 or 3 years where we would meet quite regularly to discuss Pauline's progress, to look at a whole lot of photographs, to go through all of those photographs and to sort out what was going to go into the school history. So it was a really exciting time for me, and it was a renewal of my acquaintance with the school. So it caused me too to reflect on what the school had done for me over the years. And as everybody else has said here tonight, Mac.Rob made a huge difference to the way in which we looked at the world, the way in which we approached our lives and what we were going to do. I know when I first went to university, I was a bit nervous because I thought, I'm entering a completely different world, and besides there are going to be boys there, and I'm sure they're all going to be really clever and really dominant. But I found when I got into tutorials that they weren't really. And that most of the women I'd gone to school with were much more competent than most of the boys, and much more articulate too. So in a sense, Mac.Rob gave us that confidence. The other thing that I remember really clearly about Mac.Rob, and I think it's been a continuing theme for the school, was that Mac.Rob has probably much more than a lot of other schools reflected the ethnic makeup of our city. When I was at Mac.Rob, a third of the school was Jewish, and these were people who were the daughters of refugees from Nazi Germany, and who were the daughters of displaced persons who came to Australia after World War II. By the time I was leaving the school, there were more and more Greek and Italian kids coming into the school as well. And of course, as time's gone on, that mix has changed. But it's a real, I think, recognition of what the school does, that ethnic makeup has been so strong and so varied over the years. And it's created an enormous sense of interest and tolerance, I think, among the people who have graduated from Mac.Rob in other cultures. Something that I think a lot of my friends have envied over the years. I can't think of anything else that I really want to say at the moment, except I'm really honoured and privileged to be admitted to the gallery. I think this is an absolutely wonderful initiative, and thank you very much.
These 5 incredible women are our Portrait Gallery inductees for 2022. We congratulate them on their incredible contributions to Mac.Rob and the wider community. I'm sure that everyone here has been incredibly inspired, and their stories will inspire generations of Mac.Robians to come. Please join me in giving them a final round of applause. I would now like to welcome back Ms. Sukara to say a few words.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, students, for your wonderful narration of these outstanding achievements. I'm not supposed to be back here, but I couldn't resist coming back here to make a special mention of Lena Barriers. Lena is this beautiful lady here in red, and she is my executive assistant and has been the executive assistant of many principals. And Lena has got herself a promotion position, and she's going to be leaving us. This is the last significant event that she'll be organising for Mac.Rob after 14 years of dedicated service, outstanding loyalty, and she is the font of all knowledge about the school tell you all that that's students from this year. Go and meet this student, ex-student over here, and this is what they're doing now. Lena knows pretty much everything about the place, and we're going to miss you. You've done a fabulous job of organising this evening, and we'll have to try and replicate it in the future. But congratulations on your promotion and promotion.
Thank you, Ms. Harrop, and thank you, Nina, as well. This concludes the formal position of our 2022 Portrait Gallery induction. Thank you once again to our incredible guests and their families for joining us here today. And to our speakers, Sue Harrop, Lynn Jensen, Krish Rajawal, Jessica Oom, and Gayatri Nadalu. We would also like to thank our student musicians, Si Yi Lu, Catherine Ho, and Kathy Tu, and food tech helpers Alvina Hassan, Shri Preeti Sherry, and Pragna Umakati. We invite inductees to join us beside their portraits for official photos, while our guests help themselves to refreshments. Our Mac.Rob Foundation youth members and Palladians are also on hand to tell you more about their many amazing community initiatives. Thank you for joining us here tonight for this very special event. And on behalf of the Mac.Rob Girls High School, we wish you all a very safe journey home. Thank you.